Hello students, today let us do a poem called Nine Gold Medals written by David Roth. Medals. When you hear gold medals, what are you all thinking of? I know you're already anticipating the annual sports meet where you can show your prowess on the field. Let us find what this poem is about the poet first. Who is David Roth? David Roth is an American rock vocalist, songwriter, actor, author, and radio personality. He is the lead singer of the famous hard rock band Van Halen and is also a successful soloist. Oh, a singer, okay, successful poet too. You can also hear this poem rendered by a Scottish singer on YouTube if you are interested. So, what is this poem about? Nine gold medals is a poignant record of an incident that takes place at the Special Olympics. Special Olympics? What is the Special Olympics? We have heard of the Summer Olympics. We have heard of the Winter Olympics. We have heard of the Paralympics. Yes, Paralympics is for specially abled athletes. Summer Olympics every 4 years. This year it was supposed to happen in Japan, but due to the corona virus, it has been postponed. So all these Olympics happen every 4 years. But we have not heard of the Special Olympics. What is the Special Olympics about? Yes, it was established in the year 1968 for the people of intellectual disabilities. Yes, you heard it right. It is for people with intellectual disabilities. So this Olympics strives to create a better world by fostering the acceptance and inclusion of all people. Through the power of sports, people with intellectual disabilities discover new strength and abilities, skills, and success. This is what the poet is writing about. This is supposed to be loosely based on a real incident which happened in 1976, where one of the athletes fell. Two or three athletes stopped in the track, came and helped that for runner who had fallen down. So what happens? So what is this poem about? It is about such intellectually disabled athletes, contestants who are running a race. Soon after the race begins, one of the contestants has a sharp fall and lies on the tracks crying out in pain and losing all hope of ever winning the medal for which he had trained so hard. The 8 other contestants, in an outstanding show of empathy and compassion, please underline the words empathy and compassion, stop running, return to help him to his feet, and together all 9 of them linked arms and walked to the finishing line. Such an exemplary show of behavior. So this poem, what is this poem about? The poem celebrates the spirit of care and compassion. What the world needs now is not more competition, but more cooperation and collaboration. So in this competitive world, we find that everyone wants to be the topper in this rat race. But this poem is a little bit different. Let us find what actually happened. Shall we start, children? So, stanza 1. The athletes had come from so many countries to run for gold, for the silver and bronze. Many weeks and months in training, all building up to the games. Yes, people were waiting in the stadium. The athletes have come from so many countries. Athletes have from different parts of the world have come here. Why? To run, underline run. For what? For the gold, for the silver and bronze. Gold means gold medal, silver medal, bronze medal. Gold stands for first prize, silver second prize, and bronze third prize. All these athletes have come from different parts of the world to run and either get a gold or a silver or a bronze. To get that, what have they done? There are many weeks and months in training, all building up to the games. These athletes have trained so hard, they have toiled so hard in extreme condition for years together, for months together, for weeks together, leading up to the games. All their their dream is to win a medal. Their dream is to win a medal. For that, they have done everything possible from their side. Shall we move on to the second stanza, children? All round the field, spectators were gathered, cheering on all the young women and men. Then the final event of the day was approaching, the last race about to begin. One could see the spectators jam-packed everywhere. Wherever one could see, there were audience, spectators gathered to see their favorite athletes win the medal. So they have all cheering. There is an air of vibrancy everywhere, enthusiasm, cheering on all the young women and men. Who are the young women and men? Yes, it is it refers to the athletes. And what are they all waiting for? Then the final event of the day was approaching, the last race about to begin. They're all eagerly waiting for the final event of the day, which is that it was fast approaching, the last race about to begin. They're all eagerly waiting for the last race to begin. Stanza 3. The loudspeakers called out the names of the runners, the 100 meters, the race to be run, and 9 young athletes stood there determined and poised for the sound of the gun. If you have watched on television, children, during Olympics and all, usually the names of the contestants are announced on loudspeakers and they all come their line on the track. Usually the picture of those names called out, the image of the athletes will be displayed on the large monitor with their personal best, which country they belong. So here also on the loudspeaker, the names are called out. So for which event are the contestants called out for? Yes, it is the most anticipated one, the 100 meters. Yes, even in regular Olympics, Summer Olympics, which is the most awaited event. Yes, it is a 100-meter race. Yes, to find out who is the fastest man on earth. In the last edition of the Summer Olympics, it was Usain Bolt. So here also in this Special Olympics, the spectators have gathered to watch the last race of the day, that is the 100 meters race, and 9 young athletes stood there determined and poised for the sound of the gun. So how many participants are there? 9. Usually on a track in any race we find 8, but here since it is Special Olympics, so 9 athletes are there, and 9 young athletes stood there. As the names are called out, they all file out onto the track. They're all standing there determined, okay, and ready, poised, ready for the sound of the gun. They're waiting for the signal when they can start running and fulfill their dream of winning a medal. Stanza 4. I hope you're following the slides, children. The signal was given, the pistol exploded, and so did the runners on hearing the sound. But the youngest among them stumbled and staggered, and he fell on his knees to the ground. But something happened. See, the minute the signal was given for the athletes to get ready, and then the pistol exploded. Pistol exploded, that is to signal that the race has begun. The minute the signal explodes, the gun explodes, what do the athletes do? Just like the gun explodes, they also explode on the field to be the first to win, to emerge winner. So here the pistol exploded. The minute the pistol exploded, what did the runners do? On hearing the sound, so did they start. They also exploded on the field. But unfortunately, the youngest among them, among the 9 runners, athletes, the youngest of them, he happened to stumble and stagger. Somehow he lost balance. He moved unsteadily. He tripped and he fell on his knees to the ground. Unfortunately, somehow he lost his balance. He stumbled, and he fell on his knees to the ground. Let us find out what happens next. Stanza 5, next slide. He gave out a cry of frustration and anguish. His dreams and his efforts dashed to the dirt. But as sure as I'm standing here telling the story, now it's a strange one, but here's what happened. That young fellow, the youngest athlete, when he fell on his knees to the ground, he gave out a cry of frustration and anguish. There was a feeling of anger and annoyance. How could he do this? How could he fall? Because he had trained so hard, and when he's about to start, he has stumbled. He cannot finish the race. He cries out in frustration. He shows his anger, and there is anguish, both physical and mental agony, that he cannot complete the race. And his dreams and his efforts dashed in the dirt. All his efforts go into the drain. They're dashed to the earth. They're destroyed. But as sure as I'm standing here telling the story, now it's a strange one, but here's what happened. But here the narrator tells, just as it is true that he is watching this whole event, so whatever he's going to tell next is true, though it might be strange. That's why he tells, but as sure as I'm standing here telling the story, now it's a strange one, but here's what occurred. As it is true, I'm standing here, in the same way, what I'm going to tell next, though it is strange, but it is true, what he witnessed. Let us go to stanza 6. The 8 other athletes stopped in their tracks, the ones who had trained for so long to compete. One by one, they turned round and came back to help him and lifted the lad to his feet. The strangest thing that one couldn't imagine happened on the track. What happened? The 8 other athletes stopped. Literally, they stopped in their tracks. The ones who had trained for so long to complete, the same athletes, like the youngest lad, the youngest athlete, they had also trained for many weeks, many months leading to the event. They forgot their dream and ambition. They stopped in their tracks. One by one, they turned round and came back to help him and lifted the lad to his feet. The 8th athlete, they did the unimaginable. They stopped in their tracks, forgoing all their dreams and ambition of winning, forgoing all their training, all their hard work, toil. They stopped. They came back to the young fellow and lifted the lad to his feet. Let us find out what happens. Let us go to stanza 7. Then all 9 runners joined hands and continued the 100 meters reduced to a walk. And the banner above that said Special Olympics could not have been nearer the mark. So what happened? All the 9 runners now, they are joined together. They joined their hands together and continued the race. The 100 meters reduced to a walk. Now, why is 100 meter reduced to a walk? Yes, because the youngest one cannot run. In a show of solidarity, what did the other 8 contestants do? They joined their hands together with him, understanding that he cannot run in his pain. They started walking together, and so the 100-meter race is now reduced to a walk. And the banner above that said, while they're walking, okay, all over the stadium, there are banners indicating that it is Special Olympics. So what does the narrator say here? And the banner above said that Special Olympics could not have been nearer the mark. Yes, the sight of the athletes explained the motto of the Special Olympics better than the banner itself. Yes, this event, the Special Olympics, became special by the show of solidarity by the remaining 8 athletes. Shall we go to the next stanza, children? That's how the race ended with 9 gold medals. They came to the finish line holding hands still, and the banner above And the 9 smiling faces said more than these words ever will, said more than these words ever will. So how did the race end, children? The unimaginable has happened. So now the 9 athletes have reached the finish line together, and what has happened? The Special Olympics has become special with all the 9 athletes being awarded 9 gold medals. How is it possible? Yes, the authorities, in recognition of the selfless act of the athletes, decided to honor them by awarding each athlete a gold medal, which is unheard of in a single event. Okay, in a running race, each athlete being awarded a gold medal. That's how the Special Olympic Committee decided to honor those athletes who had shown true spirit of sportsmanship. They had extended a helping hand to a fellow competitor who had fallen down. So that's how the race ended with 9 gold medals. They came to the finish line holding hands, still holding. They don't leave each other's hands. They're still holding hands. They come to the finishing line, and the banner above and the 9 smiling faces said more than these words ever will, said more than these words ever will. The poet feels, or the narrator feels, that there are no words to describe what really happened, which explain better the spirit of the Special Olympics. Actually, the 9 smiling faces and the banner above said more about this Special Olympics than the words of the narrator. So the smiling faces, the selfless act of the athletes describe the specialness of the Special Olympics more than any word could. This is how the poem ends. What is the biggest takeaway for us from this poem, children? What have we understood? We can relate it to the previous story that we read earlier, which we discussed earlier. That is the little match girl. What was the moral there? That we have to lend a helping hand to those who deserve. In the same way here, we see the other 8 athletes stopping in their tracks who show the true spirit of sportsmanship, empathy, compassion, cooperation, and collaboration. Now, let us look to the themes of this poem. What are the themes of this poem, children? Yes, this poem is about the celebration of human values like empathy, cooperation, solidarity, and friendship. And it is also about the true spirit of sportsmanship. So the poet wants to tell us that sports is not only about winning medals, but also about learning the values of empathy and cooperation. The poem brings out a situation where the contestant set aside the desire to win to help another contestant who had fallen down. They empathized with him. The contestants came together as a group. They stood by each other and walked together to the finishing line, and all of them won a gold medal. By awarding gold medals to each one of them, the authorities honored their display of empathy and human values. The other theme of this poem is true spirit of sportsmanship. So David Roth indicates how human values in a sports person are as important as the spirit of competition. The other contestants at this point could have continued running for the medal, but they pulled up on their heels to help the young boy to stand up. It was thus an exemplary scene that displayed spirit of sportsmanship. So, in this poem, 9 Gold Medals, the poet David Roth has presented the idea of empathy and how human values are as important as the spirit of competition. Sports is not only about winning medals, but also about learning the values of cooperation, sharing, competing, and complementing. I hope you know that Special Olympics is held every 2 years in the interval between Summer Olympics and Winter Olympics. So watch out for the next Special Olympics and see you in the next class, children.